Hey, we want to welcome you all out tonight, and we're going to be talking about engaging youth and family history. And I want you to realize that we're all youth when you get right down to it, that some of us who are a little bit older are just youth that are wrapped up in an aging body. And so this really can apply for all of us. And we're going to try to show you some new things, something that's a little new to the program. As far as there's a website that we're going to be showing you tonight. Okay, the purpose when working with any group of people is not so much to teach the family history research or family history techniques or things like that by themselves, but it's to do this in a non-threatening way, and hopefully in a way that will draw those that we work with closer to our Savior. That's really what we want to be able to do. Now, we are doing some things for our ancestors. Sometimes we're doing things for ourselves when it comes to, like, say, memories for the living. But really, the ultimate goal of all of this is to help us to draw closer to our Savior, to feel his love, to feel a unity with him, to feel a oneness with our family and the Savior. And the other thing to always remember is President Nelson's promise, where he said, anytime you do anything that helps anyone on either side of the veil to take a step towards making covenants with God and receiving their essential baptism and temple ordinances, you're helping to gather Israel. It's as simple as that. And so what we want to do is not make things mystical, but make them as simple as possible for everybody. Now, we're talking about specifically about teaching the youth, and you really need to meet them where you find them. And where do you find the youth? I think that picture pretty well sums up the answer to the question. Because if you've been around anybody under the age of 30 and sometimes over 30 even, you're going to find that their phone is grafted onto their hand, and it's always there. And so as we approach this today, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about apps. And understand, though, that these apps are also all found online. So for those of you who aren't comfortable with using apps on your phone, you can find the equivalent on the website. I usually teach from there, but for tonight, I'm going to focus on seeing it as you would see it on your phone. Okay, so one of the things we're going to do is we're going to talk about putting apps on our phone. Apps such as the Family Tree app, Family Tree app, Memories app, the Get Involved app, and one you may not be familiar with, the Together app. And you can tell these are from FamilySearch because they all have the FamilySearch tree on them. And they're all mixed in with some of the other apps that I have for genealogy. Okay, one thing we need to always address, no matter what group we're working with, is signing up or signing in. Now, I would assume most active young adults, teenagers in the church who have a phone probably have the Tools app. And if they use that, that means they've got a churchofjesuschrist.org sign in already. That sign in gets them into FamilySearch. And they don't need any other if they don't want it. If they don't have anything, we can sign them up either to get the church app or the church sign in, or we can have them do a FamilySearch sign in. We'll show you how to get the FamilySearch one tonight, though it really don't need it if you'll just go get the sign in for Church of Jesus Christ. So what you need to do is you need to have one of these apps on your phone. So we'll go down and download the Tree app and open it up. And the first time you open it up, it'll look something like this. Now, there are two versions. There's the Android version and the Apple version, the iOS version. I have an Apple iPhone, so I see the iOS version. The Android versions, they're usually not too much different. But on this page, it'll prompt you right away to create a free account. Or if you already have either the Church of Jesus Christ account or a FamilySearch.org account, you can sign in by clicking the little sign in that's right below that arrow. So if I click on that for create an account, this is what I get. And I get this no matter where I go now, either the web page, FamilySearch.org, or any of these apps. The church is trying to give us ways to get in so that we don't have to worry about forgetting our username and password, because we always tend to forget our username and password. And so to save them a lot of extra work, because this is usually the biggest issue they have to deal with, they're starting to offer us some other options, like signing in with Google or Apple or Facebook, or sign in with your church account. Or signing in with your church account, you're still going to have to know your username and password for that. When you use, like, say, Google, and I'll use that occasionally, the first time you do it and you say, I want to sign in with Google, you're still going to have to sign in to Family Search and then link it to your Google account. And then if I go in and I'm already signed up with Google now, and I click on there, it's just going to say, do you want to continue as Robert? And I say yes, and it brings me right into the app, because it knows who I am and it knows that it's supposed to go to probably my churchjesuschrist.org account. So if you don't want to go that way and you really need to create an account because the person doesn't have one, there's that little sign up with username, meaning let's really create a real account here. And you'll see that it's not a very extensive sign in. You basically just have first name, last name. You need to create a username and a password, which you are going to write down. Raise your right hand and promise to write it down. Then for recovery purposes, you either provide them with your email or a mobile phone number, one that works, hopefully. And then you can ask to have messages sent to you with discoveries and things like that. I'd recommend you click that one. And if you are a member of the church and you haven't done this before, you're going to need to click where it says, I want to add my Church of Jesus Christ membership information. And when you click that, you just have two extra things. You need to have your birth date, full birth date, and your church record number, which you can get off of a recommend. You can get it from the ward clerk. Wouldn't make much sense, but you can get it out of tools. Or like, say, if you're a child, your parents can get it to you from tools because they can see their children's numbers. And then you click I agree, and you click done, and you're in. So I just wanted to bring that up just to make sure we're all aware of that, because if you're going to be working with youth, you're going to run into this sooner or later. Okay, so we'll just briefly look at the tree app and see what's found at Family Search through the app. And beginning users may need some help, because if they've never been in FamilySearch.org or on this app before, when they go to put in their tree, they may not see a tree like this, where it's a full tree, where it's showing all their lines and things like that. Of course, if they're not married, you're not going to see the bottom stuff because that's the spouse and children. But they should have parents and grandparents on all sides. Often when the person first uses it, they don't have the full complement of their ancestry. And so what you'll have to do is help them by helping them put in the living people so that you can get back to somebody who's deceased. And then assuming that that deceased person's in tree, search for that deceased person and place them in there. And then voila, the whole pedigree will be there. Now, this is a fan chart. Your person's in the middle. It's possible that's all you're going to see when you first go to this. But hopefully not. Hopefully they will have at least part of their tree, if not all of it. There are actually two different views now. It used to be there was only one, and it was not the fan chart. It was a kind of pedigree, picture pedigree chart. You see the two options in green down here that you can toggle between. If you toggle over to the one that looks like a little tree, you will then get a picture pedigree chart, portrait pedigree chart, which has been enhanced, improved. There's some extra features now that go with it. And you know how family searches are always adding things, and we'll be showing you one of those extra added features. But this will allow the person to be able to start to see their family, just like Family Search, and we're not going to be going into it. You can click on one of these people and the little card for them comes up, and you can click on the person and you can go see their person information. It'll be presented different than it's presented out on the web, but basically all that information is there. Okay, if they need help, this is a one time I would recommend you're probably going to want to pull back and find a computer, because the best way to get them help is to use the FamilySearch.org website, click on the little question mark, which is the help button, and then down on help and learning in the list of things that comes up under help, and you'll get this get started is one of the things that'll come up on that page. That's the portal to getting into a program that will provide them with all sorts of steps to help them build their tree. Talking about it basically for somebody who A, may not know anything about their family, and B, doesn't have anything recorded yet in Family Search. And it's going to take them through the steps like gather all the documents you have in the house into a box so that you can refer to it, and go talk to your living relatives and so on. And it'll walk them through all the steps they need to go through to get started. Okay, that's probably the easiest way to help them if they really are going to be needing some help. Okay, let's talk just a minute about ordinances using the Tree app. One of the nice things about this portrait pedigree, and actually on the fan chart too, is they have added links showing temple ordinances if you're interested in wanting to find some that need to be done. You need to go to the tree settings and click ordinances to make sure that it's highlighted so that it will show up. And then if you go digging down through your tree, you'll eventually find some people in there that have the green temples or orange temples. If the work's all done, you're not going to see anything. The orange temples mean that there's a name or a place that needs to be standardized most likely, or it doesn't have any dates at all, something like that. This missing, oftentimes it's a very simple thing to solve, and then the person's available for temple work. And of course, the green little temple icons mean that there's work that can be done. Both of these happen to be people who have ordinances that have been reserved by somebody else and shared with the temple. I can tell that because I can see there's a little clock thing up there in the corner of the circle. But this will allow you to actually go out into your tree, going back through your ancestors and looking for somebody who needs temple work. That's one way to do it. And then the other option is to go down at the bottom of the Tree app where it has the word temple, click on that. And on that page where if you have names that are already reserved like I do, you'll see the list there. But it also has that blue link to Ordinances Ready. Ordinances Ready is right there. And all they have to do is click on that, and you know the routine. They can reserve either baptism, confirmations, initiatories, endowments, or sealings right from there. And if they have a tree now started, the names that come up should be coming most likely out of their tree. Okay, Now let's skip over to a different app, one you may not be familiar with, one that I absolutely love called Get Involved. And so what's happened is FamilySearch is starting to realize, that indexing is going very, very, very slow. Things are just not getting indexed very fast. In fact, we're decades, like 30, 40 years or more behind in indexing the records that are online and falling further behind every day. So something needed to be done. And so what they've done is they've started moving towards artificial intelligence, AI. And they have discovered that they can take documents that aren't even very well organized as far as nice columns and stuff like that. Let AI read the documents, whether they're in cursive or print, whether they're in English, German, Italian, French, whatever, and pull out the names and dates and things that are needed for doing temple work and for identifying these people. And so Get Involved is the first step towards that. In fact, if you go to the web page, you no longer see indexing on the ribbon at familysearch.org. It's called Get Involved. When you go to that link, you can still do indexing if you want. They still have some projects for indexing, or you can do Get Involved. And so I want to show you how easy it is to use that. And so the first thing you need is you need the app. So you need to go to the App Store or whatever it's called for your phone and get the FamilySearch Get Involved app, which will look like this, a blue one with the tree. And when you open it and sign in, the first thing it's going to say is, we want to give you some names. Where would you like these names to come from? And you're going to be looking at names and determining if the artificial intelligence read them correctly. That's all you're going to have to do. So I said, okay, let's pick the US because right now they have the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand that you can pick from. Sooner or later, it's going to be the whole world. But as they ease into this program, they're reading from documents from just those 4 countries. And most of them are pertain to either land or probate wills, things like that. So I said, okay, I want to do the United States. So when I do that, then it says, okay, you don't have to pick, but would you like to pick a state? So I said, sure, let's do Pennsylvania. And then it says, and it's also optional, is there a surname you'd like? And I said, sure, I'd like Bortner because that's one of my surname lines. And so once I filled all that in, I just click Review Names. And up comes a screen like this where they have a document. And in this case, it's not even a handwritten document. It's a nice column created typed document. And they're asking me to look at something they've highlighted and they tell me what they said it is. So they looked at this yellow, whoops. They picked this yellow area and they said that says Bortner. And yes, it does. And so I have 3 choices. I can click on match and it'll go to the next name. Or I can click on edit and make a change to that if they were wrong. Or if I wasn't sure, I could just click on sure, and that's fine. Because what they're going to do is they're going to have at least 2 of us view this and agree with what they see. And as soon as they find, that people are agreeing with what this is, they will immediately start posting this information out on FamilySearch as part of their hints or part of their records that can be searched. These things are turned into searchable documents as soon as the page is finished. And so, I mean, there's no lag time. It's a real fast thing. And it's just wonderful to see that these things instantly start becoming available to everybody. So in this case, I say match. Now, sometimes you get something that doesn't work. Like in this case, there's a column here where they have locations, and there's this abbreviation, which really means assignment. And the computer decided, the AI decided this was somebody's name, Ascent Meckley. And of course it isn't. In fact, it's not even a person. You don't see that option here. That's because there's one more place I can go to. That's that little flag. If I click on that little flag, a page pops up. I still see what I'm looking at, but now I have a choice of not a person or incorrect highlight. Like they might highlight part of a person's name and part of something else. I would say that's an incorrect highlight. They would go back and look at it and fix it. In this case, I would just click on not a person and it will just go away. It will no longer show up. And so that's all there is to it. I have found I can sit there, like if I get to church early, I can sit there and in 5 minutes, I can do 50 names. And I can do 5 and quit. I can do 1 and quit. I can work for 20 minutes and save it all as I go. Whatever I want. It's something that can be done anywhere. You know, you go to the doctor. I'm going to the doctor tomorrow. I might sit there and do a few names while I'm waiting for my name to be called. Very, very simple. But this is what the bulk of indexing is going to turn into in the near future, and it's already here. Okay, there is at the bottom of this app a section that says contributions. This is really cool. It shows you how many names you've reviewed. And actually, since they started, it only shows the last 6 months. Since it started doing name review, I've actually done 14,000. So, I mean, it's really addictive. But there's a couple of other things that it does. One of the things it does is up at the top here, it tells me that under Temple, I have indexed or done get involved for records that have been added to 3,215 people who have been submitted to the temple. In other words, over 3,000 people who have ever been submitted to the temple had a record that I helped create by either indexing it or doing get involved with it. Also, people, it says, I have created, this is creating people. I haven't created, I shouldn't say that. Patrons have created 9,139 people using records that I have either indexed or done get involved on. So my indexing and getting involved work has led to about 9,000 people being added to Tree specifically because my record was involved in the creation of that many people. That is really cool to see. There's never been a chance to see that before. But this is all found on the Get Involved app. Okay, Together by FamilySearch is a third app. And this one's a fun one. This is where you can get people engaged, and it's really without any pressure. This has really got a lot of fun stuff in it. The church has realized that social media is the way, especially to get through to the youth. And so this is a kind of a quasi social media app where the youth can have a chance to do a bunch of different things that are very simple and easy to do, but they're powerful and impactful as it helps them to share their life with, say, their family members and preserve things in little bits and pieces that aren't hard to do and don't, make you freak out thinking, oh, I have to write this big, long life story, things like that. They have little stories you can build. And there'll be all kinds of different things. It might be, what's your favorite hobby? And it'll lead them through a 3-question little quiz. And they write out their answers. And when they're finished, they say done. And it turns their 3 little answers into a short story for that topic. And then you can save it. And if you're in a family group, You can say share it with my family group, and the whole family group can see it. And they have a place where you can add memories for different things like family vacations. They also have, so and this is an example of one where somebody took a picture of something that they did or saw. It's like the beach in Southern California, and then wrote about it. They have prompts for your life story so that you can go through like, who was one of your favorite teachers, or what was something you liked to do for fun, or who's the person you would love to meet. And so there are all these short little prompts, and usually there'll be like 3 little questions that go with it, and then the program will put it together for them. They also have a favorites section where they'll say, okay, like it's desserts. Which is your favorite kind of dessert? They'll give you a bunch of options and you pick one. And then when everybody in the family has done this, if they all have the app, they can compare with each other and see who likes the same kind of things. And you can even create avatars. And we'll show you one in a minute. Okay, this program is set up so that if you're LDS, you get the temple section. If your account is not an LDS account, you don't see this. So it works for everybody, and nobody would be embarrassed or, confused or whatever by seeing stuff they may not be familiar with. If you are LDS, there's a whole section on the temple. In fact, it's right there. You can use Ordinances Ready. You can see the recommend questions if you're waiting to get ready to go to the temple, say for the first time. You can actually see the recommend questions. There's a section here where they'll give you the promises made for doing temple and family history work that have been given to us by our prophets. Here's a place where you can even go in and make an appointment to visit the temple. And then there's a place, and this is, I think, the cool part, where you can record some of your temple experiences, like your experiences doing baptisms for the dead, or your most spiritual experience that you ever had. And again, these things are things you can save and share with the family. So it can become almost like a life story if somebody really does this app and fills in a lot of the stuff. They have built basically a life story. Now, there are fun activities involved, and one of them is Avatar My Family. This first one up here. So I created an avatar for myself. Why it has 2 for my wife down there, I don't know. It's the same picture, it's the same record. It somehow ended up having 2 for my wife pictures. I could try to create an avatar for her, but I'd rather let her do that. Another one next to the avatar is all about me. I went over there, and it tells me a lot about me and about the year I was born. It tells me that my name means bright and famous, Robert. And I learned that Jackie Robinson played his first major league game in the year I was born. The Polaroid camera was invented. Now, I knew about Robinson, but I didn't know that the Polaroid camera was invented the year I was born. A movie ticket costs 45 cents. A gallon of gas costs 25 cents. Eat your heart out. There were a whole 8 temples in the world. Now, I thought it was interesting. By the time my wife and I got married, there were 13 temples. 5 whole temples had been built in that 20-year period of time, about one every 4 years or so. George Albert Smith was the prophet. Harry Truman was the president. And the Golden State Warriors, well, the Philadelphia Warriors in those days, won the NBA championship. So it's kind of fun stuff to see. You can actually change the date and pick a different year. And, you can do it for you, or you could do it for anybody. You might just want to say, well, say Grandpa was born in such and such a year. Let's see what it was like that year, and just change the year on it. Okay, there's also one for compare a face. And so I took a picture of me, and the person that is the most like me in Family Search for the people that have pictures in my family is my father. And now I understand why when I look in the mirror in the morning and I say to myself, well, Dad, what are you doing here? That's because we're 62% alike in our looks. And so that's kind of a fun to see. Okay, the Memories app. This is the last of the apps we'll talk about. And I love the Memories app. And this app really works well. And when you go to it, the first thing you'll see is you'll see all the memories you have put in if you put any in. Whoops, wrong way. And down there's a little plus sign. And when you hit that plus sign, it'll allow you to do different kinds of memories. You can click on photos and do a photo. We'll talk about that in a second. There's a link there for audio, and you can create an audio file, or a story. You can create a story. I'd strongly recommend that you do stories on a word processor and just upload them to Family Search rather than typing them in. That's very hard to do when they're in the time frame they give you. And then they show you one of their memories after it's been put in and you've clicked on it. So if I went over here and clicked on that picture, it would come out over here. And if they had put a title on it, you'd see a title with it and things like that. To just show you how easy it is to do that, I've got a picture here on my screen that you can't see. I've just leaned it up against the screen. I've got my camera. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to go to Memories app. I'm going to go to the little button where it says photo. Then I'm going to say take photo. I'm going to hold it up to the screen. Whoops. Take the picture. I'm going to say use the picture. Save it. I forgot to click save. And it's in Family Search. It's the picture up here. And it took that little bit of time. You can take your camera with you, your phone with you, I should say. You can go anywhere you see pictures that you want, or you see something you want to take a picture of, take them and upload them to Family Search. It's that simple. After you do that, you can clean it up a little bit. Family Search has some simple editing for cropping and things like that, rotating a picture if it comes in sideways, and then tag it to people. Tag it so that you can find it, so that it's connected to the people that are in it. And it's as simple as that. The other one that I really stressed is with our youth, it'd be so easy for them to take their phone and go to the oldest relatives in the family that are still alive and start asking questions about those stories they've heard so many times that now we're going to get recorded. And then sit with your phone and record it. And when you're finished, upload it into Family Search. And think of the blessings that will bring to the later generations as we get the voice of our ancestors telling their own stories. And you need to do it now while they're still here, if they're still here. So this is a real powerful app. I absolutely love the Memories app, and everybody can learn to use it. Okay, now this presentation, that page, the picture that was on the opening screen, is actually a portal page for a new page that goes with Family Search called Engaging Youth and Family History. I have the link for it up at the top. This is the actual URL, which is kind of cumbersome. So I created a bit.ly app or a bit.ly link. Also, for those of you who are state consultants and use the Family Search Center Learning Resources page, this link is actually found on that Family Search Center Learning Resources page. It's not found anywhere for regular consultants, but all of us can go over there if we can find the Family Search Center resources, and it's found there. But this, like I say, is just a portal. When you click on it, you come to a bunch of different topics. And so they have a whole section on getting started where they give you links for things like creating a free account, about your family search profile, and what you can do with it and make public or keep private, and adding your family search person, adding to your person page. There's that link for getting started. There's a link for family history help for parents and youth leaders with dozens of suggestions. How to find names for the temple with Ordinances Ready, and a link to Ordinances Ready. That's all under getting started. Then there's a section for the apps, and here's where you get a link for all the apps they have together. They have the Tree app, the Get Involved app, and the Family Search Memories app. And they have a link to videos for the youth, family history videos for the youth with a bunch of videos there. And then for family history activities, they go through and give you a bunch of links there. And again, things like the Youth and Family Summer Challenge, Family History. This one has all kinds of activities, and it's all set up to be like a discovery day for youth, where they come in for a couple of days and come to the center and do some fun activities. Here's a link for family history activities for youth 12 and up. As I recall, that's a page out of the wiki that has all kinds of links of different things they can do. Family history activities for youth, same thing down here. So there's all kinds of links there. So our hope is that you will go through and use some of these things when you're dealing with youth or just anybody. It doesn't have to be a youth. It can be anybody who comes in and needs some help to get started, and you feel prompted that they need something other than maybe just looking for names.